What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Jack Ramsays live show. Quick little bit of housekeeping. First of all, if you haven't already, please subscribe here on YouTube. Like, rate, review, subscribe. Get us wherever you find your podcasts. I'm your host, Danny Marang, joined by Brandon Sprague, the one, the only, Erik Gundersen, ladies and gentlemen of the Associated Press. Associated Press. Give it up for the Associated Press. That's just...
Shout out, yes. Shout out to the Associated Press. Shout out to the Blazer Banter newsletter as well, blazerbanter.substack.com, and the Bulls versus Blazers podcast. Yes.
And we will definitely get our third eyes out. We will get our tinfoil hats on.
Right here. Oh, yes, that's right. You guys are the kings of the tinfoil hats.
Yes. We do have them on standby. We'll get you one. We'll have to get some actual... no BS tinfoil hats made. I'm almost certain you can find somebody to make those professionally. Quick rundown for everybody getting in here. What we will do here is kind of work backwards over the last week for the Portland Trailblazers, where it has been a dumpster fire of epic proportions. I don't think I'm mischaracterizing that in any way. Anybody disagree?
I think it could also be like a cleansing dumpster fire.
Sure. There's a dumpster where there's a fire burning, and there's still trash in there that's burning down, but we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I mean it's definitely not good, but I think, or it's not an overall good, I would say, but at the same time,
messy.
It's hard. It's messy, but it's hard to argue that the end result of anything is bad.
Correct. And that's what I think.
Well,
no. Okay. No. Go. What's bad in this?
Well, I mean, they suck is what's bad. I mean,
they sucked before.
Okay. It's like I think Eric's right. Like it's a cleansing dumpster fire, but it's like you just put it in the trash that's already full, and it's kind of hanging over the dumpster, and now you're waiting for it to be dumped before the dumpster is empty. Like I think we're at the waiting for the dump truck stage of the dumpster fire.
Okay. We're waiting for it to get picked up.
Yes.
Which is great because trash day's tomorrow. How much you guys?
I hope so.
So let's kind of work our way backwards through the calendar. Start with today's news. Did either of you know that this was coming other than hey, this is coming this morning?
I mean, I heard about it that there was going to be a thing, but I didn't know
what it was.
And obviously I had no expectations for what it ended up being.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't know it was going to be. First of all, I didn't know it was happening, and then when I found out it was happening, I was like, oh, okay, it's a little odd, but also the owner's a mute, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, that's. Not hearing from Jody or Bert is the cloud over, I think, everything.
That's a pretty egregious thing in my opinion. You guys can disagree.
Shove the new guys out there. No, you guys go take the flack for all of this. We'll be back here in the background. That was probably something I was a little this is your opportunity.
I mean, you don't even really have to talk for longer than 3 minutes. You could literally step to the podium and say, we've gone through some changes. This is an ongoing process. We're looking forward to the future. We feel optimistic. Dame has committed himself.
Here's yada, yada, yada.
Here is Joe. Here is Dwayne. Here is Chauncey. There you go. You don't even have to answer. I'd like you to answer a question, but you don't really have to do it. You just have to talk for maybe 3 minutes. Maybe.
Very strong big gulps, huh? Well, see you later. It's just
exactly
a silent, I guess, level of a hat tip.
I don't even know what her voice sounds like. Do you?
No idea.
I've only read about it.
Yeah, I know. I've no
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, and the context is...
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not great.
Yes.
It's leaning more towards Bond movie villain than megalomaniac owner. It's just so
not good.
Erik, as the guest of the illustrious guest of the Associated Press here on Jack Ramsays, what was your overall takeaway, and then kind of walk me through your highlights of the press conference today, or press meetup?
So I took it in. I was actually, so my internet was out the whole day. So I was watching it on my phone. Luckily was able to watch it. And I mean, I think a lot of the things that Joe Cronin was talking about today were, he killed it. I mean, JC killed it. I mean, and he delivered a very, I think, knowledgeable and confident, plan of action, and also like a reflection of what he has been doing. And I think he did a great job. I mean, I thought that he did a really good job of being like, yeah, we have a ceiling. That was one of the things that he said that I was like, okay, we like to hear that. And also
that's a first.
And the second thing that I really heard early on in his first statement was we're gonna take on risk.
That was nice.
Yes,
we're gonna take on risk. And I was like, thank God. Like, like it's just like so much of this like stuff about that Neil's been like, well, it's about sustainability and shit. And
it's about sustaining my job, my ass in this chair. That's what we're sustaining right now.
Exactly. And it was just like about sustainable success. And it's like, well, at a certain point, you got to fucking try something else when, the roster, you went to the Western Conference Finals and you've gotten worse every year after that.
Yep.
So with that one thing you hit on, I tweeted it out earlier. Shout out Chris Herring, did a piece for, I want to say it was SI earlier, last night or this morning, where he looked at over the last 30 years. When Brandon and I talked about it a couple nights ago, we were talking about the last 20 years and talking about taking on risk. And I said, when was the last time we saw a duo together for a longer period of time than Dame and CJ with less success or equal success? And we could not come up with a name. Like there was nobody out there who went that long. The risk-averse nature of it all. And Chris highlighted one in the last 30 years. There's another one in, was it Sean Bradley and Michael Finley in Dallas, which that's a little, I think that's maybe reaching a little bit as far as duos are concerned. But again, I think it goes to illustrate the point that it doesn't happen. But Conley and Gasol, that was it. And what ended up happening there, both guys, they tore it all down. And I'd argue pretty easily that Memphis is in a lot better position right now than Portland.
Well, I think that was an interesting one. I saw you tagged me on Twitter, and I thought about that one. And it's really hard to argue because they both reached the same stage in terms of how deep they went as a collective. My only pushback, and this is the slightest of pushbacks, they actually gave that Golden State team like a struggle. They went up 2-1 in that series. Whereas, Portland got there, but I mean, they blew double digit.
Not even, didn't win one game in the
Didn't win
finals.
one game. Like that, to me, that matters. So, they ultimately got to the same place. I think they accomplished a little more. They were better defensively, obviously, we know that. But that was a pretty good one to point out. And by the way, I guess I missed that part of Neil, where he talked about the sustainability and shit. I missed that part.
Yeah, I mean, I just added the and shit part, but it was like
I love it.
I was doing a jerk off motion off the camera. Like I was just like, you know what I mean? Like that was the way he would refer to sustainability. And it was so great to hear JC, who, same initials as Jesus Christ. I'm just gonna put it out there.
The bald savior.
I'm just gonna put it out there. No pressure. But I do think that he has. I mean, he's been in the organization for 14 years, and
he better trade CJ in 3 days. That's all I'm saying.
I'm sure he will probably. I mean, I think around the 15th it'll probably be closer. But like the stuff he was saying though about like I talked to Damian, I believe in him. We would talk to Chauncey, and it's like we are gonna make moves. We're gonna call, and it's like at the end of the day, I'm gonna make moves, and then. Jody, it's on Jody and Bert to approve.
Yeah. What they say, Eric, they get 99% and the 1% is up to Jody and Bert, and then they'll cross the goal line basically. Have you found it interesting? Because this is what's really stuck out to me since the whole Neil was fired thing. Neil, for many years, like they had players that Dame liked. They had players that were, kind of wasting away in other cities that they probably could have attained via trade. Now, for a lot of people, that might have been a little too early to give up on the Dame CJ thing, but they've had opportunities throughout the year. A lot of those guys have been well documented. What I find funny at the end of this Neil stuff, that dude spent a decade preaching and yelling about culture. Guys, we got a culture. We care about our culture. Meanwhile, the actual fucking culture inside was rotting because of that dude.
Yeah.
Like, I find it so fascinating that dude was preaching about culture. And what did we hear today from JC? Well, we gotta get our culture together. You know what I mean? Like, it's so funny that it's ended this way, that dude was screaming about it. Meanwhile, inside, the culture was going to shit. And now we got somebody who at least publicly stepped up and addressed it and said, we have to be better than this.
I think sorry.
No, go ahead. No,
but Dame, I think when Neil said culture, all he really ever meant was Dame.
And to an extent, CJ, just to kind of
to an extent, CJ, and that these guys are doing all of they did all of the culture work.
Yeah.
Like that, he would always take.
And Terry trying to put out fires where needed.
Yeah, and Terry cultivated a chill vibe that helped, helped kind of shield the team from Neil's aura.
When did any of the stuff that we have ever heard behind the scenes with the Terry teams ever go public?
Never. And I was going to say, like, it's almost as if the previous coach was well aware of the limitations of the roster, and his thought was, I could hold guys accountable, or I could just keep them happy and play good offense, and we can maybe do something.
We can maybe a little vibes check and see what happens. Like,
yes.
And that's where, again, I don't want to get into the coach personnel thing, but it's like, you look at this and you're like, Terry started off this summer looking pretty bad, and then Neil just kept digging holes he was digging down and building Terry up at the same time. The overarching theme of this press conference was, I don't suck. And I mean that from, like, hey, I'm Chauncey. They should have put a mic in front of me this summer and let me talk. Hi, I'm Joe. They should have put a mic in front of me and let me talk. Hi, I'm Dwayne. I'm not Chris McGowan, but they should have let me talk over Neil because everything that Neil says sucked all summer.
Yeah.
Open his mouth, insert foot, just an epic shit show. Every single time. You watch these three guys today, and they weren't up there as PR masterpieces. They just did the necessary stuff. It wasn't like, I forget who asked it. I think it was Fentress who asked about agreements or disagreements between where Cronin is or was and Neil. And that was the only time in the entire thing where Joe was not fully, entirely prepared to answer the question. And he kind of danced around a little bit, but he could have thrown Neil under the bus. And instead of doing that, he's like, nah, you know what? Sometimes you have disagreements, but when you go into the draft room, when you go into the meeting room, everybody's on the same page and you just do what you got to do. And he took that opportunity, instead of just crapping on somebody else, to collectively be an owner in that situation and go, it is what it is, and we're going to move forward.
Well, and I thought that was one of my takeaways too, was the other guy would have totally thrown somebody under the
into
bus
the fan blades, man,
as soon as possible. And here was my other thought. Well, I'll share my feelings overall, because I found social media very interesting today, and I know we're going to talk about the Cronin stuff. I almost think I need to designate Erik, because Erik strikes me as perfect dude in a movie to wear the fake costume, to sneak into the facility and find the 2017 draft notes on Bam versus Zach. And I want to know what Neil wrote.
I bet you Joe's got them.
Oh, he for sure has them. I need to read those. I need to read those.
That's our Sam Hinkie letter. That's like the process resignation letter. Like, that's our. Yes. We need to find
our holy grail.
That's our holy grail of Blazers intel. Is we need to find that document where it says Zach Collins better than Bam Adebayo.
better than John Collins, better than Donovan Mitchell, better than OG Anunoby. What's funny is the 2012 draft, we actually have that. You remember that debacle? They had the whole draft war room, and they had CJ number 1, and right behind him, which is how you knew immediately that Cody Zeller was going to be a Portland Trailblazer this summer, was Cody Zeller.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if you look at the questions that were asked and what was answered today, and the big takeaway from me from Joe was, we kind of addressed it with the risk taking, but there was no denial. There was no combativeness. There was no arguments. There was, I understand. He even alluded to like some frustrations with the fan base. We hear you. And he kept saying the thing that when he first came out was, I needed to listen. And I thought, well, yeah, duh. But if he's actually empathetic and willing to listen, and that from everybody I've heard, Eric, I would imagine yours is the same, you don't last 14 years in an organization through multiple GMs that have been tumultuous times and varied personalities if you aren't a pretty sharp guy who gets it and listens a lot.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think he made the point himself. Like, I've been here for 14 years. I think he said it very plainly. Like, I'm good at what I do. Like, that was one of the things he said, on top of, like, you know, being able, his demeanor, getting him through all that time. Also just his, like, actual doing of the job of understanding the salary cap of being an assistant GM is very, very good. And I also thought one thing that to me illustrated a big difference as well, to the point that you're making about he wasn't being combative, is when he was asked by Sean Highkin about the extension, he, instead of being like being blustery, he was like, well, I can't actually talk about it because he can't sign it, and I can't talk about future deals, and that's against the collective bargaining agreement, which it's like Magic Johnson could never. But like, seriously, man, like he did it so well, and he like handled it with such tact, didn't get a tampering fine,
didn't show his hand.
Didn't show his hand, and was like, yeah, we'll negotiate when the time comes. But I'm talking to Damian all the time.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think, Eric, I think you're making really good points too of just a collective, I don't know, breath of fresh air and calmness. Like, sometimes I think a lot of people, college and pro, like, they forget that their job is in sports. And we love sports. And I'm not saying there's never going to be a contentious moment or you're never going to be pissed about something. But it felt like today they put out 3 people, one of which has been going through the shitstorm all year, and Chauncey. They put out 3 people who it felt like a weight had been lifted. And they knew that they knew how to attack this thing today, which is really important because, well, they haven't been doing that very well in these press conferences. My only pushback, and this is really nitpicky, and maybe you guys will even agree. I'm a little surprised. I'm a little surprised the amount of benefit of the doubt this team earned with people from a 25-minute press conference today. Now, I'm not saying Joe is not talented. He clearly knows what he's doing. He's been there a long time. I loved what I heard. I did. But I'm also not sitting here acting like that dude is clearly the front runner for the general manager job. I'm not going to act like this thing is going to be traded and they're going to make the right moves necessary. In fact, I would actually argue the other way. Today was great, but this team has not earned any cachet or benefit of the doubt after what they have done the last 4 years. I really believe that. And it's great, but we need a little prove it here. We really need to see what this is going to be and where they are going with this, because winning a press conference is fun. But man, when you win it in the middle of a shitty season with a tough future maybe potentially ahead of you, that doesn't do a whole lot for me outside of, hey, somebody wasn't a dick to all these reporters today, and that's nice.
I mean, for 10 years, they haven't won a press conference as the basketball operations group, which is like, listen,
yes,
it's not, insane. That's, I think, what makes people feel so good. It's like the distance it felt, but like, to your point, exactly. You're right. Like, the proof is going to be the pudding. And it's like the comparison that I've made, I wrote about this, I've tweeted about this, is Kobe Altman in 2018, like, even before the big, where he traded 6 of their guys on the deadline day, he also had to trade Kyrie because Kyrie wanted out. And it's like, he had to deal with that. And it's like, he dealt, and like, I feel like Joe has more experience working for an NBA team, knowing how it works, especially with this specific team. And to me, I think he's going to be able to make good moves. And if I were a Blazer, I trust him. I mean, I would trust him because it's just like, he's been in the game for so long. He scouts, he knows the cap. He knows a lot of things. And I think they have to do it, but I think if they don't make any moves, I think he also kind of laid a little bit of like, I'm going to try and make some things happen, but if Bert and Jody don't make it happen, it's not going to happen.
I was just going to say, there was a point in there when they asked if and how empowered Joe was. And he said a couple different things. One was, hey, I've worked my ass off to get here. I'm smart. I'm capable. I know what I'm doing. Like, I'm up to date on my qualifications. I know he's interviewed for other jobs, other places. Like, he's been behind the scenes kind of rising up, and actually a lot more than I thought. After the last 48 hours, I've talked to a lot of people who are like, yeah, no, he's been really active over the last 2 years, very quietly, looking at rising up. Because I had always heard that Joe was just like happy being in the shadows, being that guy that pulled a lot of strings, did a lot of work for a lot of people, and everybody sang his praises. Typically when that happens, those people go other places. And so I found that it'll be a little bit interesting. He kind of, you know, I'm a peacock. You got to let me fly today. And it was kind of fun because it was a confidence and not an arrogance. And we've gotten arrogance for 10 years. And I think that's the big press conference winning, right?
He's a hooper. That's the other thing we learned today. He's a real hooper. Like he played against Chauncey in the state championship in Colorado, and like Chauncey gave that great story. Like, yeah, I mean, that sounds great to me. Like I like that. Like it just sounds good.
Well, I think Neil once played a hooper in a soap opera.
That's right. That's right. When he was playing lacrosse.
Yes.
That's right. That's right. When he played
lacrosse. His jersey's retired back at his old college or high school for lacrosse.
Yeah. You know,
but he's a real hooper.
Yes, he's a real hooper. My thing too with Joe is, we talked about this a couple days ago, Danny. There's only 30 of these jobs, and I thought you'd said that that Joe may be happy being in the shadows, and you know, you saw a picture of him and Dame at the game talking. They probably have a great relationship, but you know, as this thing goes forward, and maybe they don't know who or where they're going with this, because we still haven't heard much outside of the Woj report of they haven't started interviewing anybody yet. Maybe Joe has talked to the guys. Maybe Joe has thought this over and said, shit, this could be my one chance to get this job.
There's only 30 of them.
There's only 30 of them. You might only get one shot at this. Yep. Like, we don't think Neil's going to get a GM job ever again. So you really, sometimes you got to take advantage of those opportunities, of those moments. But I at least at bare minimum, if he doesn't get it, I hope that he is cool enough to hang around, because when you're in an organization that long, you got a real feel, especially for guys like Dame. And I think he would be a very valuable asset to whoever they bring in. And I at least took that away, that Joe, whether he's the GM or he goes to the background again, but maybe his voice is heard a little more, I'd like him to hang around with this team, man. I liked what I heard today, and the Hooper story was awesome.
The Hooper story was awesome, and he got a little bit of a laugh at everybody when he said he'd been waiting a long time to have this job over Chauncey. So I mean, right. he was just hitting the right notes, and like it's and this isn't like the exclusive to what they did today. It was just the bar was so low. All you had to do was not screw up, and then they had a couple times where they this little anecdote. It was just it fell right. That was the right place, the right time, and they've gotten it wrong for so long. It blows my mind because it was never that difficult. But I want to hit a couple quotes here from Joe that I thought were pretty telling. We've already kind of hit on it that he's been given the opportunity. He says, I do have a chance, and they told me that, a fair opportunity to prove myself. But I'm not worried about that. I'm trying to put the organization in a better spot. That's the opening kind of salvo. And this is what I thought was really important. The way I've approached it is I get the deal to the 1 yard line and then take it to Jody and Bert, and they make the final call. And that was when he was talking about his level of empowerment. And I think that's a bit of insight right now into Jody and Bert are still, as much as every owner signs off, the fact that Joe made a concerted effort to say Jody and Bert, that lets you know that even if he is fully empowered, they're still very much the final say and going to make sure that financially, ticket-wise, and I thought that was kind of telling, the fact that Dwayne was there today talking about this has been not entirely a basketball thing, but this has been mostly a basketball thing for years. Regardless of situations, people were pouring into that building until COVID. Now, not so much.
Yeah, Dwayne talked about a lot of the factors going in there, and obviously, I think the one thing that they weren't really saying was like the basketball team has kind of been men. People are like, I don't want to go to this anymore because they just we know what we are. And I thought that he handled that really well, and I thought that it was definitely a step, I think, again in the right direction, at least in terms of rhetoric, where it was like the Olshey McGowan era was like, we're just going to stay out of each other's way and just kind of do our thing. And this is more like a little bit more collaborative. It feels like, and there's a little bit more communication going on with Chauncey, Dewayne, and with Joe. So I think, again, yeah, all press conferences, just that's all it is. But it did again feel like they're trying to do things and improve upon the things that the organization was not doing well.
Yeah. Erik, let me ask you this, and Danny, I'm curious your opinion too. Here's my only okay. So Joe has a great press conference. I think they set the right tone today, and hey, we're kind of getting past what that was. Here we go. Here we are. First of all, let's be honest about this. It's Bert. It's not Jody and Bert. It's Bert. Okay. Jody doesn't know what's going on. Bert's gonna, hey, this is what the deal is, and Jody's gonna go, if you think that's a good move, sign it off. Like, that's just the reality. The second part is, are you guys comfortable if he's not the guy, that's going to get this job, are we cool with him making now their biggest move that they've made in over a decade? Like, that's the other part of this that's weird to me, is if he's not the guy, okay, I hope they pick the right person, but he's going to get the opportunity to prove himself, which means he gets to trade CJ, maybe Nurkic, maybe Rocco. And if you're not the guy, that's kind of a weird position to be in, is it not? Is that not unusual to you guys if he's not the person that he's going to be the one making that trade?
I mean, I think it's a job interview for him. Like this is a live job. I'm fine with it because, first of all, this is the Blazers, and we just had 10 years of a dude who would not make such a move. And second of all, the biggest trade in franchise history was made by an interim general manager.
And a guy who is friends with Joe.
Yeah. Exactly. Like and again, dude, Joe, like, maybe he's not the guy that they who end up choosing long term, but like, to me, he's equipped to make the decision. Like, he knows what he's doing. He's been in the league for years. He knows the personnel. He knows what this team's situation is like. And, when he was talking about the team's contract situation and how they're a little bit more flexible than they have been in years past, like, those are the things that I'm like, I get where you're coming from here. And I trust him because I think, he knows what's up. Like, and I feel like he's earned this chance too. Like, he has earned this chance to have this power. And I think he can do it.
I want to backpack off of that, and that's kind of where I was going to go with this. Where is the only possible place that you could go where you could both get a fresh set of eyes, a fresh perspective, and have somebody that knows every single thing about this team?
Yeah.
Joe Cronin's the only one.
Yeah.
And so you may have somebody in-house who looked at Neil and said, okay, I disagree, but you're the boss. I'm going to follow your lead and be a good soldier. And now he's going to go, yeet, and throw all of that stuff completely out the window and go, this is my show. I've been empowered. Here's what I would do. I'm going to execute my vision with the time that I have based on my 14 years here. Because remember, he has been here longer than Neil. He survived epic meltdown post KP into Cho into Neil. Like, there was a lot that was wrong in the organization, and he survived all of it. So I think if you can look at it and go, okay, like, would you want to bring in somebody who's really well experienced and when well versed in every single phone call and on a great first name basis with every GM and agent in the league? Sure, but here's the tipper: Neil wasn't either. Mm-mm. I mean, I can't count how many times I went to NBA events and somebody was like, hey, he's still there, huh? There's so many people in the league who are just like, I can't believe he's still got a job. Like,
there's a lot of people that used to work for him that were like, I hate this dude. Like it just is. Like that's just how it is. So like, yeah, I mean, it's so much. It's so refreshing to me to what we're going through right now.
Yeah, my only like tiny thing that brought it back to me today too, listening to Joe, was we could make this move before like the summer got underway and let that guy.
Yeah, I know. Well,
do the one thing we all wanted to do.
One, while CJ's wife is like before she's about to have have the baby, like, are you like, come on, guys, like it does feel shitty, but it's like it also feels like it's gonna happen. Like I don't know what. I mean, who knows though? Like I feel like Nurk, Rocco, everybody's gonna be on the table, and CJ as well. I think everybody but Dame pretty much.
Yeah, I think we've reached that point of like, oh, okay, here we go. I had a exercise here. From a fan of the show, shout out the homie Varun. He asked me to rank the roster, and for whatever reason, it's not, my little lower third is not showing up for some reason. It's being very dumb. Let's try that. No, let's try that one. Hey, there we go. And he said and this I think is going to play off of what Joe's going to have to deal with over the next couple weeks. Rank the roster based on who you're most willing to part with. Let me actually read the actual question so I get it all framed right. He said, I think especially as the trade rumors ramp up, it'd be interesting for you guys to rank the roster in terms of assets and who, at this point, you're most willing to part with and least willing to part with in a vacuum. I'll get us started here first. If I gave you Rocco and Cove first or CJ first, which of those two are you taking most likely to be moved first?
You mean Rocco and Nurk?
I'm sorry, I said Rocco and Cove. Rocco and Nurk. Yeah.
I'm probably going to move CJ just out of the asset part of that. I think he's the better asset overall. Like he's the better player, and I just don't know what the true value of a Rocco or even what a Nurk would be on that market. And we may not get exactly what you want back for CJ, but I know he's the better player of those three.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's like, of like the guys I'd want to trade, he's not on top of the list, but like they have to trade him. Who's
your one to trade top?
Oh, I mean Covington, obviously. But like it's like I mean, like I want to trade Covington. He's just not very good. Like he just doesn't really help them where they need help. And he's been better like inside the 3-point line this year, but like it still isn't really doing much for me. And so I'd love to trade Covington. Definitely love to trade. I think he'd probably be at the top of my list. And then I think Nurk as well. Like I do think Nurk has some value if he's on a team with other good defenders, with good defenders around.
Not being tasked with doing all of the work all of the time.
Yeah, when he doesn't have to do everything and cover everyone, I think he would be in a much better position. I think, he will have some suitors there. I definitely think. I mean, one team I think that I had a fake trade over the summer where I sent him to the Lakers, and I still think that would be a trade that I don't know how he'd get there necessarily, and who Portland would get back and how that would work. But, there could be a construction. I think it was a 4-team trade that I did where it ended up getting the Blazers, Miles Turner, and Ben Simmons. But like, the Lakers, Anthony Davis hates playing center. Dwight and DeAndre Jordan are bad.
Yeah. Like Yusuf Nurkic can only play center.
Yeah. And so like, and I think that would be good for them. Like, and also to upgrade their basketball IQ. Like he's a good passer. And so that's just like one place that comes to mind for Nurk. But so, yeah. And then after that, I mean, in terms of guys I'd be willing to get rid of, I mean, you put Zeller, but I don't know what like what value he's gonna have. You know what I mean? Like at this point, we're talking about like guys that I don't really think are moving the needle for anybody.
Well, I think let me add to this real quick, Danny. I think this team is in such dire straits, and if you're really gonna go in on the Dame extension and hey, we're gonna ride this Dame thing out until the wheels fall off, which I think most of the city would just say, give us that. Because if you trade Dame, you're not guaranteeing me you're getting anything better, that you're going to become this different team. At least let us ride this out with our favorite player and maybe the franchise's best player of all time. I think what they've put themselves in is a very uncomfortable position, and you're not going to like this, but I do think Ant needs to be near the top of things to consider. Now,
he's the most valuable.
I didn't want to say.
I know that's what it is, Danny. That's really what it is. It doesn't diminish how good he's been. It's just that's.
Don't get it twisted. It's my guy.
Yeah.
And what have I said? If they are forced to do this, what have I said? Do not send him wherever you send CJ McCollum, so he's buried behind him, and send him to a good organization.
And I think you need to keep the 6'5" athletic wing guy. I think you need to keep players like that around Dame. I mean, he's struggled to have a lot of those guys who are truly, really, really good. And
you saw flashes of what Nas can do last night.
I mean, I think he's a guy though that like
other teams are going to look at.
Other teams are going to want too. It's like I mean, honestly, like if you're Portland and you're like, they're like, well, we want Nasir and CJ for Ben Simmons. I feel like you kind of have to do that if you're the Blazers.
I do too, because when you're talking about top flight talent,
like that's like one that you have to do. Like I was listening to the Low Post and they were like doing like a mock discussion. Mm-hmm. They were like, and he brought up Nasir Little and he's like, we have a problem here. And I was like, I don't know if we have a problem there. Like, yeah, he would help their like, I think if you're Philly, you got to ask for Nasir Little, but if you're Portland, like, I mean, it would suck, but like, if you're getting Ben Simmons, you got to do that. Like you just do.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was just going to say your win now. Like,
yes,
the young guys are great, but they might take 2 more years before they really pop. Dame, I don't think Dame has that kind of time. You got to win now.
Ben Simmons is what, 25?
Yeah, I think he's turning 25. I think he might be 24. I think he turns 25. Jesus. I think this. Oh yeah, no, he's a kid. God, it's insane. Yeah, he's a kid. It's insane. So when I look at this, then this is what pisses me off. And you and I, Eric, we have talked about this for literal 7-8 years since CJ first came into the lineup. I was like, not a fan of this. But when I look at it, even if you throw all that stuff aside, what Neil didn't do with draft picks is why they're in the position they are now.
Mm-hmm.
2017, you get nothing for Zach Collins. He leaves your team for nothing. LaMarcus Aldridge leaves your team for nothing. You send 2 first-round picks for Robert Covington, which I'm not mad about. It was a swing move. I wanted Aaron Gordon, but whatever. Okay, you stepped up for once in your bleeping life and took a swing. Thanks.
I mean, the decision to not pay Batum and instead give that money to Alan Crabb and Evan Turner, like...
Good God. Can you imagine, like, you overpay for Nick, but you would have had a remotely competent player.
How's Alan doing in the NBA right now?
He hasn't been in the league for 4 years.
And Evan too.
Evan hasn't been in the league for
Evan
2
retired.
years.
That's right. Oh, that's right.
Goddamn
that's right.
coach now. You know, let me on the Rocco thing. I do push back just a little. That's not a swing to me. Like that's a bunt attempt, and
no, that's not a home run swing. That's a pull. That's a pull into right field. Come on.
That was a Neil home run swing. Like that's basically what his home run swings were. It's like, hey, we got Rocco now. It's like, is that going to change what your real problems are?
Yeah. So when we're ranking this, is there anybody outside of Dame, CJ, Nas, Ant, Cov, Nurk? Norm obviously is in there, but do either of you believe that Norm is on the way out? Because the way it was told to me was Norm was gone. That he was gone, and that Chauncey basically convinced him to come back.
I mean, Norm has looked good at the 2. I mean, but again,
he's looked really good at that spot.
Listen, I don't know this to be true, and I don't believe it really. But if I know that there's some Philly fans that prefer Norm over CJ, and it's like, well, if that's the case, then go ahead. I don't like, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be mad at that. Like if that's the case, I wouldn't be mad at that.
I'll go ahead. Sorry, Eric.
No, but I in my right mind, I can't believe that. Like, I can't actually believe that Daryl Morey would do that. That he'd really prefer Norm over CJ.
I still think they need passing and shot creation more than they need Norm's play finishing. Like they've got, like it's all they have is play finishers, really. Mm-hmm. Like don't get me wrong, CJ's not the best creator, but he's still. When I look at Philly's roster, taking Ben Simmons off it, I'm like, is he a better creator than Seth Curry? Yeah. Is he a better creator than Tyrese Maxey? Yeah. Is he a better creator than Toby? Yeah. Danny Green, of course. Like Korkmaz is out there trying to lead a second unit, and it is an epic disaster.
What's happening?
It's so bad.
I was literally going to say I'm watching the Utah Philly game, and I'm thinking before we jumped on the pod, I'm like, I bet they love having Korkmaz try to facilitate that offense right now. Who would want CJ McCollum doing that, right?
Like, I love Maxey, but Maxey, when he turns a corner, it's pull up or get 2 feet in the paint and go to a floater. Like that. Once he turns that corner, it's never going anywhere else but up.
I think
also,
you're missing. Go ahead.
No, also if you lose a little shot creation and they don't want to pay him later, like, give me a little Shake Milton rental. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I'd take that too. If you need a little extra oomph off the bench if you're Portland and they need to get rid of a guard, like I feel like that could
you can slot him in and be like, that's a capable rotation player. Like
I think you're missing out too on one more player.
Who?
I think Larry would have some value in the market.
Oh, of course.
Unquestionable value, but I think you're trying to move literally anything else but Dame and the kids before you get to Larry. Because Larry, because of how he plays, we talked about this the other night. Shooting is no longer the market inefficiency. It's playmaking. Being able to create for others and seamlessly fit into a team without being that guy needing to touch the ball that much, that's about as rare as it gets in the NBA. Is there anybody else out there where you're just like, yeah, no, that's a ready available commodity you can go pick up off the free agent market?
Not top of my head, no.
No, I mean, it's hard.
Those guys aren't out there. Like, that's the only reason the Blazers got Nance is Nance was like, I want to get out of Cleveland because things aren't going well.
He chose the wrong team, though.
I mean, these things happen.
Well, he also got they also had plans to not play him as much
because Mobley's going to eat up minutes. J.A. is going to eat up minutes.
And I mean,
they made promises to Lowry.
Yeah, well, in defense of their Lowry Markkanen fits better with their group because he's just like a shooter.
Yeah,
and Nance can shoot it, but I think he's better.
He's a connector.
Served.
He's not a finisher.
He's better served sometimes also when he gets the rebound, pushing the ball up the break and setting the offense up from there. And he's just not going to be able to do that. And they brought in Rubio too. They already had all those guards. I think he's in a position here where he gets to be more influential in the team's success.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's kind of the roster stuff. Is kind of where we see it right now. I want to get to the stuff that actually started the week, and that's Damian Lillard. We talked about this last night, Sprague. It's a lot. Quarter zone, call-outs, and commitments. Got a quarter zone shot. Sounds like he's going to be ready to go Sunday. Shout out quarter zone shots. That's all I'm going to say. The call-outs, tackling that Woj piece and taking on Wells P's tweet, calling out Neil by name, and then Nate Jones not calling out Neil by name, but throwing the snake emojis in. It's messy, guys. It's as much as this summer with Dame was messy, I think right now is messier.
Oh, why do you think that? Because here's my rebuttal to that. The piece was, I don't want to be too insulting. I thought it was kind of gross. It felt like a scorned lover reaching out to trash the ex, and I just don't like that, especially for a dude. I mean, that idiot was gift wrapped a franchise top 75 all NBA player who wanted nothing but to be loyal and to win a championship for a city that's been deprived of one for 50 years. And this stupid mother came in, did nothing, made no big swinging moves. And then on his way out, after being fired for being an asshole in the workplace, decided to say it's his fault. He wants a monster extension.
And that's why I couldn't do anything for 10 years.
That is really
an extension that he can't sign yet,
that he can't offer until next year.
Can't even be offered. That's the thing that's insane to me is we're supposed to believe that Dame is angry about not getting an extension that he can't even sign yet or even be offered. It was, and to your point, Sprague, it was very gross, and it was nasty. My immediate reaction was, it was nasty because they put it on ESPN Plus.
Yeah.
They put it on with the UFC fights where all the blood and the nasty shit's happening.
Yeah, $4.99. Read about how Dame's a piece of shit from Neil Olshey. It's I'd rather not do that. But what I was gonna say, I'll just end it with this. What it pissed me off that he did it, But I disagree with your assessment. It's not dirty anymore. It's done. That dude is gone. Like, Dame is recommitted on TV. They've got Joe in the back, who everybody likes. Like,
maybe that's where like when we started the pod talking about like things getting better. Maybe that's the difference. I think that 48 hours was really messy. It was really because Haas here in the chat says, I lost all respect for Woj. He was definitely carrying some water, and I don't know if it was for Neil or for Warren Legary, but when I look at that, I don't necessarily not lose all respect for Woj, because here's the thing. We all have done this for a while now. We know that these are the kind of things that there was nothing different about this situation than any other superstar angling for an extension. Nothing. This happens when you are a superstar of that ilk. This is what you do. You press forward. This is how John Wall got his contract, how Russell Westbrook got his contract, how Chris Paul got his contract. All of these guys did this through angling through their star power. This happens all the time, but what you didn't hear about it was until it was done. You're going to leverage, you're going to do whatever you can because that's what you should do. But the way it was written was Dame's greedy. He's holding things back. He's selfish. He wants nobody else to have anything else, and he wants himself to have everything, which is objectively hilarious because Dame has in the background campaigned for literally all of his teammates to get paid over the years.
Bro, Woj went up the hill for Neil to fetch a pail of water. Like, it was basically what it was.
It was really bad. Overall, I had a discussion. Eric, I want to get your thoughts on this real quick. I have kicked around the idea of tanking for a while, but not for the last couple years because of just the situation they're in. They're in Damian Lillard's prime years. You can't waste these. We're watching the Golden State Warriors, who basically wasted 2 years of Steph Curry's prime. Curry's a little bit of a different beast, and they have the pieces around him in order to do that. But I had somebody text me today and say, hey, what if Dame had the surgery right now and they made the moves and shut it down for the year?
Wow.
I mean, I think he knows his body better than we do, and if he needs to shut it down, he will. But like, that's not the worst ending to the season. Is him taking care of his abdomen issue, and
because he needed the surgery for 4 years.
Yeah, and so I don't think it's the worst way, especially if they make the moves that he wants to see them make. I don't, but he's still gonna. I think obviously he's gonna play on Sunday. He's still gonna play some games here. But I think if they make moves, if the season looks lost and it would be better for him to just get his surgery and get it taken care of, then it would not be the worst thing in the world, especially if the rest of the team has an opportunity to kind of to kind of grow and gel without him. But the problem with that is like then you're gonna have to reintegrate Dame, which he's a great player and is going to be very flexible, but that's not easy either. So like I mean, it sounds like an ideal scenario, but I don't really think there is one.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. It doesn't feel ideal. Whoever you talk to, I'm glad they listened to what I had to say on the podcast a couple of days ago because I'm openly talking about this. I think what they do is, this is interesting. If he comes back, we'll see what he is, and maybe it's what he was before he sat out. I'm curious to see where they're going to be by the All-Star break. And if they're hovering right where they are, if not worse,
I think they need to shut it down before then.
At that point, I think you shut it down. Because correct me if I'm wrong, if you keep that asset, because it's top 14 protected, you can still trade it again, right?
I don't think you can.
They'd have to get to draft night before they could.
Yeah, okay. I think they have to make the selection.
Yes, they have to.
And then once they make the selection,
then they can kick that can. Yes.
Yeah, but they can't trade the pick as it is now.
They have to. They have to remove protections in order to make any other deals with picks right now.
So there's suddenly, if you're to that point,
and that's what I'm saying.
Have to think about it. There's another asset for you.
You might have to do it earlier, and that's why I was like, if you're talking about trying to get a pick that matters, a top 5 pick. There are 4 teams that are complete dog shit, just absolutely atrocious, and you will not out tank them. And so,
I mean, with the odds though, man, like
you could stumble into it.
You could. It's way more likely that you'll spring into the top 4 than it's ever been as a team that isn't the worst team in the league. Like,
yes,
even if they hang around, I mean, let's say in theory, right? Like best case scenario here, they get Ben Simmons, and even if Dame sits out, a team with Ben Simmons isn't going to be bad enough to not make the play-in. So like you're thinking but if you don't make the playoffs, like you can get your draft pick back if you're not in that top 8. So even if they're a top 10 team, they can still get their draft pick back.
And that's the thing is like, if you do it sooner, let's say they make a move for Ben. Let's say they find a way to do it and they keep either Ant or Nas. And you're like, okay. And then you make the right moves around some pieces with Cove and Nurk, and you get a floor spacer to put along Ben and another rotation level wing. Okay. Or a rotation level big. Let's say that they do the Kevin Pelton trade for Covington where you get Bagley in a first, right? Whatever that is, whether you like it, love it, I don't care. I'm just saying as we fill out the roster here. So you're running a lineup of, if Dame's out, Dennis Smith Jr., Anthony Simons, Ben at the 3, Nance at the 4, and then let's say you make a move for Bamba at the 5. Again,
had to be your guy. Had to be his guy.
Listen, you want it to be Miles Turner? Fine. I'm aiming lower.
Whoever it is.
The new Myers Leonard.
Listen, man, I like me some Bamba. I like me some Bamba is what I'm saying. Yeah. But again, you're not a great team. You're not a great team by any stretch of the imagination.
But the West, the benefit is the West sucks.
I don't think it sucks.
Yes, it does.
But I think it's very easy to fall underneath the cream very, very easily. And let's be
West
honest,
and the East are starting to shift.
There's 2 teams in the West. There's Golden State and there's Phoenix.
See, everybody else,
don't tell Danny that.
Everybody else is like meh.
I think Utah's in there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they'll be but like they're a distant third to me, and then like after that, it's like really, really mid.
Everybody's asking me where did Norm go. I'm sorry, Norm's still in there. So Dennis Smith Jr., Norm, and your 6th man, because we had talked about maybe moving Norm off. So, but yeah, it's a situation where it's like it's suboptimal, but I think in the long run. You look at this draft class. Let's say the miracle happens. Let's say they finish with the 7th or 8th worst record in the NBA, and like 2007, the ping pong balls come up their number, and all of a sudden you've got Paulo Banchero in your lap.
I'm sorry, it's just like I can't even imagine this.
But just again, imagine the stupidity that would ensue. Do you keep him? Or do you trade him on draft night for a dude? The dude.
I think you have. If you're going the Dame route, you have to. You have to trade him.
That's what I'm saying.
Now playing the role of Andrew Wiggins, Paolo Banchero.
But you understand what I'm saying?
No, yeah, that's what the calculus is going to have to be. It's like you're going to have to trade him for a guy, and probably.
What if he's the guy?
Well, he could be, but that's the calculus that you're kind of taking. But I don't say this like that's the route. I'm saying if that's the route you go, that's the hope. And maybe it's not Banchero. Maybe it's Chet. Maybe like you just go down the list. It's a real asset on a rookie-controlled deal that every single team in the league is going to go, what you got? And you can do real stuff with it.
Well, yeah, and you got also Paolo has the Northwest ties as well that make it a little more intriguing.
Is he a Seattle kid?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know where he was from.
And then you got Chet at Gonzaga, so you got North. And
I don't want Chet.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, Chet's from Wisconsin, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's a 7-foot white guy from Gonzaga.
Right. Yeah.
We already talked about this, Eric. We just Danny's not a believer in the American-born white player as nothing more than a shooter or role guy. Which he's not really wrong. We kind of went through the list.
you hate admitting that was right.
Well, you did leave out Kyle Hansbrough. Like he had a pretty substantial impact in this league for a while.
Yeah, no love for Tyler Hero. Like
no.
That was the one.
That was the one. That was the one.
I was about to say he's got some handles and stuff.
Like the rest of it is just movement shooters. That's all it is.
I'm trying to think of any other American-born whites that are not spot up shooters.
Yeah, and it's good luck.
Yeah, no, it's hard. Oh, I feel like Grayson Allen has more bounce than he gets credit for.
Yeah, and he's actually shooting the piss out of the ball for.
Yeah, he's playing really well for Milwaukee.
I mean, he's a dick. I mean, we all hate him, but he can hoop.
All right, Indiana's having a fire sale. We're gonna get out of here on this. Everybody keeps talking about it. Even you, Sprague, keep saying, "Get baby Sabas to Portland." I am dropping my gavel and saying no. As fun as it would be, as all the vibes and the father-son connection and bringing a giant jug-headed Lithuanian to Portland, that is not the fit.
How dare us have fun and set the vibes to good vibes? How dare us with this garbage ass situation?
Yeah, I mean, I agree that Turner is like a better fit, basketball wise, but also
vibes would be great.
Sabonis, dude. Are you kidding me?
Thank you.
Yeah,
I mean, he showed up with a custom.
Too.
He showed up with a custom. Was it? He had the custom J's or the custom Air Force Ones?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Air Force Ones.
Yes, he did.
That's right.
Yes,
dude, and he can do some creation, and you talk about the playmaking being the
offensively, it would be beautiful.
It's
the other end of the floor.
I just think the way that I know that Turner is the rim protector, but I feel like with the way Chauncey wants to play, I don't feel like Sabonis would be that bad.
You better have some real wings.
Yeah, that's the point.
If you can get some other wings, then
you better have some real dudes. Is all I'm saying.
But if you don't, I see what you're saying. And as the Blazers are currently in construction, if you just put Miles Turner on the Blazers, if you just took Nurkic off and put Miles Turner in, it would be a better fit. Yeah. But if they're gonna, if they're gonna trade CJ, if they're gonna trade everybody, I could see a Sabas and Dame pairing working if they can, if they change some of the rest of the roster.
Well, let me just real quick on this note, because I'm with you. I'm not going to argue your point about Turner being a better fit. I'm going with what Caitlin said in terms of the better player. I'm tired of this team not taking the better player and instead saying, we got to go the better fit. The better fit has led you to this exact spot for the last 10 years. And you could probably argue it's led you for the last 40.
But they had a bad fit though. That was the point.
Yeah, they've had a lot of bad fits, right?
But that's the thing is Turner's not I don't think he's a bad fit.
Sure, but that's fine.
I think it was Jared Wade had a great tweet today about he's a Pacers blogger.
Yeah.
And he it's at the same time that Miles Turner is complaining about the way that they see him, it's bro, you have started for 7 years and this is the league, dude. You gotta go take it. You gotta go be that dude. And
that's my concern.
And it's if you need everyone to get out of your way to be that dude, maybe you're not.
Because Sabonis wasn't that dude coming into the league. He was not highly touted as far as what he was going to do in the league.
He was touted as a defensive player coming into
screen setter.
Yeah, like a
rim finisher.
Defender, like a solid defender, good rebounder. He has
Cody Zeller, basically.
He's developed a playmaking, stuff as he's grown into the league, but he didn't do any of that when he was younger. And I feel like that guy is still in there somewhere, the guy that plays good defense. And I think part of the reason maybe he had to be the best offensive player on their team. If he's with Damian Lillard, he doesn't have to do that anymore.
Well, and I think to your point, Eric, this is my other point on wanting Sabas over Turner. Turner to me is a little too this. And I know Sabas has not been spectacular, but I also think there's a bit of a Dame CJ situation over there, but with bigs. I don't know. Sabas might be uncomfortable trying to fit alongside Miles Turner. So if you like what he's doing offensively and you're worried his defense, if you're really swinging for the moon here with Dame, who's to say you couldn't offer Nurk Rocco 2 expirings and maybe something else, get Sabas and use CJ and draft capital and go get Ben? Because you'd probably feel a lot better defensively if you had Ben alongside that, right?
I would, but again, that's where my hesitation is. If you're going for a Ben Simmons, or hell, if you're going for a Gordon Hayward, the next step down from Ben as a wing creator, you want guys out of the middle of the floor. And Sabonis he pitches a tent in the middle of the floor. That's what he does. He operates at the elbows and at the mid post and pinch post. He's very, very good there. But he's a meh roll guy. He is a terrible 3-point shooter. And his footwork on the other end is clunky and heavy. And so I think it kind of boxes you into some of the same issues that Philadelphia was facing with Joel and Ben. because Joel wants to be in the middle of the floor. And as much as they made it work, if you've got a big who's okay drifting or can work as a high, a rim running high vertical threat, like Sabonis isn't that. That's the other thing. It's like Miles can be.
I mean, I agree that if there's a hypothetical where you can get Turner and Simmons, that's the best fit.
That's the fit, right? And that's where I kind of lean that way because it doesn't lock you in.
But let's say you can't get Ben Simmons.
Then go for the talent.
Then you go with Sabonis. I feel like that's the calculus that I'm having. It's like if you can get Turner and Simmons, get them both. But if you can't get both, then I think you go with Sabonis.
And I think the other thing that we sometimes gloss over this just a little, I think Nurkic could be used as the example. Sometimes a change of scenery does a lot for guys. And you can't put it almost into words what it would mean to see him rocking his dad's number, because that would be dope as hell. Running out of that tunnel. Well, running out of that tunnel, you talk about pitching a tent in the middle. I'd be pitching a tent in my pants if I could see that. And that's where I'm at. I want to pitch a tent in my pants, and I want to see Dame happy, and I want to see this team make moves that could possibly get them out of where they're at right now. They're in a rut.
Also,
go ahead.
Sorry, personally, I would also love for it to end the narrative that Dame has never played with an all-star.
That's true, because
good point.
He did have LaMarcus, but that was
but post the LaMarcus era.
But I get it. But like, the best player Damian Lillard has ever played with is LaMarcus Aldridge, and I'm a LaMarcus guy. Love him. Should be a Hall of Famer, but the talent gap for 7 years has been so substantial. When you put it in that vein, then yes. If the option is Miles Turner is just not on the table, then give me more talent. And I think Sabonis is more talented and he's easier to deal with. But I think it's a bit of a wonky fit. But again, like, it'd be fun. Like, if you're going to keep Dame and and they're not going to be the team, put more talent around him than it's ever been, and then throw the dice, and where they land is where they land.
If we get two different eras of Dame and Sabonis in our lives, that's awesome. I'm all for it.
I'm 100% for it. We'll kind of wrap this thing up right here because we're about an hour right now. So, and Gundy's fading, and it's almost Sprague's bedtime. So I'm
starving right now.
Yeah, I'm very hungry at this point.
Just hangry.
I kind of looked like 20 minutes ago of like, are we done? I'm starving. I was thinking, I'm feeling that.
Eric's probably got some bomb ass Mexican food. Because every time he throws something up on IG or Twitter, I'm like, God, where the hell did you get that from?
I made some Thai food last night that I'm gonna reheat.
There you go. What'd you make?
Pad Gras Pao. It's like basil chicken.
Yes, no, I know exactly what it is. That's what I get. It's either that or drunken noodles that I get from the spot down the street here in Sherwood. So. Eric, let everybody know where they can find you, your work, and all the stuff that you've got going on.
Oh, yeah. You can find me on Twitter at Blazer Banter, and you can find my newsletter, blazerbanter.substack.com. You can also find my tweets about other things that are not the Blazers at Erik, ERIK_Gundersen. So if you want to follow my tweets about the Ducks coaching search and whatnot, like, you can follow me over there. And that's where you can follow me. So, yeah, thank you. And thanks, guys, for having me. It was fun.
It was fun, and I have noticed that some Chip Kelly stuff started appearing as we've been doing this. And
Eric, you really want that?
I mean, if it's between him and Justin Wilcox, like, yes.
Hey, would you rather be on the Lane train or relive the Kelly stuff?
Yeah, that's a tough call, man.
No, it's not.
No, listen. If you want the vibes, you want Lane, Bubby.
You want Lane.
Come on
bro.
now.
You want the co-eds. You want the co-eds to be vigilant, and you want the football team to be good on that field.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm fine with Lane or Chip. I really don't care. Those are my top two choices at this point. I would totally be fine with Chip. He doesn't really like recruiting, but also I think recruiting's kind of fake. So, like, I'm with it.
That sounds like a fan of a team who went to a school that doesn't recruit all that well. That's all I'm going to say.
It sounds like a guy who's really...
when I went there, we went to the Natty. So, like,
That's weird because when I went to mine, we went to one and won it.
When I went to Oregon State, we won 3 games, bitch.
Oh, God. Jesus.
Some real shit right there.
That is some real shit, man. You can't hurt me with that Oregon State comment, man. I'm dead inside.
That is straight up out the mud type stuff. All right, we'll get out of here on that. We will have you guys covered for. Actually, we won't. Sunday we is the game. We will not have a pre and post game show because I will be on a bleeping plane. So we will. I've got a few things planned to get us through the week. Brandon and I will probably do one, maybe 2 live shows while I'm in Hawaii. Like I said, I've got some content planned in the meanwhile. When I get back from Hawaii, we will do the live watch parties again. We will have them, I think, every game throughout the rest of December, I think is what we have planned. So I think we'll have one full game in there to do it. Maybe we'll get you on one of those. They're pretty fun.
No, that sounds fun. Sounds like a good time.
We did the game cast for the Warriors game in the second and third quarter. It was
dope.
It was pretty damn fun. I'm not gonna lie. Nice. We had about 75 people in the room, so it went really well. So. We'll get out of here on that. Thank you all so very much. Like, rate, review, subscribe. Help us grow the channel. We crossed 2,200 subs in the post-game show the other night. And like I said, we crossed a couple of huge lines on the podcast side already. So thank you all so very much. We appreciate you. Y'all take care. Have a good night. Talk soon. And we'll catch you on Monday morning. We'll have the mailbag pod. So get your questions in for that. At Danny Marang, at Brandon Sprague, at Blazer Banter, at Jack Ramsay. That's all the social media handles. Until then, take care. Talk soon.